Here we go. All right, you guys, welcome to Book Club. We are on chapter 2 of Twyla Tharp's The Creative Habit. The first chapter was just an intro, so if you missed that, you can go back to the original video or just dive in right now. As always, I do recommend that you purchase the book to support the author. However, you can definitely just follow along as well. So, all right, we're on chapter 2, and it's Rituals of Preparation. And we open up the book with Twyla talking about her morning ritual. She is she's a choreographer for ballet dancers, and she says her morning ritual is first off to wake up at 5:30 a.m. and to get in a cab. So that's the ritual itself, is getting in the cab, and then the actual act that she tacks on to the ritual is going to the gym from there. So she works out every morning. So she says it's a simple act, but calling the cab in and doing it the same way each morning habitualize it. It makes it repeatable and easy to do. It reduces the chance that she would skip it or do it differently. It is one more item in my arsenal of routines and one less thing to think about. Oh yeah, and while we're thinking about it, last week the recording, if I can have you guys mute your mics when you're not talking, there actually was some feedback last week. So I see Kim just muted hers because of Fred. Thank you. So the ritual itself is the cab, and I recently actually watched there's this neuroscientist that I follow on YouTube, and he was talking about how to make new habits easier to add in. And one of the things that he said about adding in a new habit was to tack it on to an existing habit. So for me, what I was doing was I wanted to make a habit of exercising every day, but my schedule changes every single day because my client appointments. So I made the decision that while I'm making my coffee every morning, I would decide while my coffee was brewing what time I would start working out at. And that actually really helped me a lot. So I just tacked on my decision about when I was going to work out to my already habitualized habit of making coffee first thing in the morning. So Twyla says, first steps are hard. It's not one's idea of fun to wake up in the dark every day and haul one's tired body to the gym, but the quasi-religious power she attaches to this ritual keeps her from rolling over and going back to sleep. It's vital to establish some rituals, automatic but decisive patterns of behavior at the beginning of the creative process, when you are most at peril of turning back, chickening out, giving up, or going the wrong way. So it's always that getting up off the couch to go and do something, or changing, getting that reset between activities that really gets me. So it's that starting energy that you need to get going that really that rings true with me a lot. So the Oxford Dictionary calls a ritual a prescribed order of performing religious or other devotional service. So Twyla says by the time she gives the taxi driver directions, it's too late to wonder why she's going to the gym and not snoozing under the warm covers of her bed. The cab is moving. She's committed. And like it or not, she's going to the gym. And that was something else somebody said was the best thing to do is to have your gym clothes and your gym shoes right outside, right next to your bed, so that when you wake up in the morning, your habit is to put it on and go out and go for your run. And of course, this can be applied to creative endeavors, and we're going to get into more of the creative things coming up. So by the time, let's see. Oh, here we go. So we all have rituals in our day, whether we're aware of them or not. Yoga in the morning. So one of her friends does yoga in the morning, and he starts his yoga routine by lighting a candle. So lighting the candle is the ritual, and then the action after that is to automatically do the yoga. And so the ceremonial act of lighting the candle transforms his yoga into a sanctifying ritual. And then she says it's a three-step process. Go to the candle, click the lighter, and then do the yoga. So an automatic three-step call and response mechanism that anchors his morning. And then when he's done, he blows out the candle and goes about the rest of his day. She also says an executive she knows begins each day with a 20-minute meeting with her assistant. It's a simple organizational tool, but turning it into a daily ceremony for two people intensifies the bond between them and gives their day a predictable, repeatable kickstart. They don't have to think about what to do when they arrive at the office. They already know it's their 20-minute meeting ritual. Then she goes on, dancers are totally governed by ritual. It begins with class from 10 a.m. to noon every day. They have to stretch and warm up their muscles, and they do this daily without fail because all dancers working in class know that their efforts at strengthening the muscles will armor them against injury in rehearsal performance. What makes it a ritual is they do it without questioning the need to do it. A lot of habitually creative people have preparation rituals linked to the setting in which they choose to start their day. By putting themselves in that environment, they begin their creative day. The composer, Igor Stravinsky, did I say that right? Woo! Every morning entered his studio to work, and the first thing he did was he would sit at the piano and he would play a Bach fugue. I hope I said that right. Perhaps it was nothing more than a simple method to get his fingers moving, but repeating the routine each day in the studio induced some kind of click that got him started. I like this one. I highlighted this because I'm a painter. A painter I know can't do anything in her studio without propulsive music pounding out of the speakers. Turning it on turns a switch inside of her. The beat gets her into the groove. It's the metronome for creative life. And this is actually one of my rituals, is when I got to my art studio, sometimes I would take a nap immediately, and other times I liked the nap one because I was listening to a podcast and from a painter, and she said that one of the things that she does is as soon as she gets to her studio, she takes a 20-minute nap. I'm not a very good napper, but even just laying down for like 20 minutes kind of is like a nice reset, because often I would get there from work where I was with another employer and there's other things on my mind. But I definitely have to have the music on to really like get into the vibe of what I'm painting. And I even have heard some painters say that they pick their music based on the feeling they want to emote within the painting. There was an abstract painter who I was listening to, and she said that depending on the feeling that her client wanted for her commissions, she would choose the sound or the music. And one of the ones she was talking about was a whimsical, happy painting that she was working on, and she said one of her favorite soundtracks to listen to was The Little Mermaid. I thought that was really cute that she would listen to like The Little Mermaid while she was painting. And oftentimes, people, if you've ever seen me live paint, you'll know that I paint to the beat of the music. And I was live painting at a music event one time, and there's this guy looking at me, which is common. You're live painting, you're an attraction, people look. And he was looking at me, and he was like, huh. And then I looked and I noticed him, and he's like pointing at me from across the room, like 12 feet away. And I'm like, okay, do you know me? I'm not sure. Have we met? What's going on? Eventually, he comes over to me and he asks me, he's like, I have to know, are you painting to the beat? And I said, yes, I was. And he was just so thrilled that he had noticed. It was really cute. But music is definitely part of my ritual. Naps are really good. One of the things that I like to do is I'll take a walk in between tasks. And sometimes that's enough to get me reset, because you kind of get bogged down through your day. you get distracted with things going on. And something as simple as a walk, or deciding to do something while you're making your coffee, or again, if you can tack on a new habit with an existing one, that will help your creative process. I really recommend that. Like the nap is a really good idea. The music's a good idea. Here's some more samples that she gives us. She gives us a lot of examples, which is really nice because we cover all different types of creative endeavors at this point. The next one is, she talks about a writer friend who can only write outside. And this one actually really resonates with me too. She says he can't stand the thought of being chained indoors to his word processor while a great day is unfolding outside. He fears that he's missing something stirring in the air, so he lives in Southern California and carries his coffee mug out to work in the warmth of an open porch in his backyard. Mystically, he now believes he is missing nothing.
That is exactly why I was like, this summer, I'm like, I'm going to write because it's summer outside and like, it's harder to paint outside. And it's like, I just love that you just take the writing and you just go outside. It's like, I'm not missing anything now. I'm out in it. Exactly. It was funny because I was like, it's so exactly what I do.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. That was on Jangle. It's on Jangle here, hitting us with the truth. Yeah, no, I definitely, I do enjoy painting outside, but Zanjangle, you're super right. I actually abhor hauling all of my painting stuff, packing it and hauling it out to a location. I've even taken my painting stuff out to the beach. And I'll sit there all day. I'll just haul all my stuff in a cart, and then it's nice. You have to have a friend to help you carry your cart, or you got to haul it yourself through the sand. It's hard. It's heavy. But yeah, you're so right about that. The painting is difficult to do outside. I don't even like taking watercolors and such, but when I do actually force myself to do something like that, I do enjoy myself. I do like painting outside. I like taking art projects to little house parties and sitting in the corner, and I just observe and make art, and then a few hours later when I'm used to everybody, maybe I'll like talk to everybody. I'm a little bit better about talking to people now and introducing myself at parties, but I definitely like to be the girl in the corner just drawing. So in the end, there is no one ideal condition for creativity. And that's kind of what I think can be so difficult about creativity sometimes, is that there's no right way to do something. You kind of just have to learn the rules so you know why you're breaking them, because you don't have to follow the creative rules, but it's helpful to know what they are so you know exactly why you're breaking them. But anyway, it's helpful to be able to have a example from somebody else so you can at least get started with maybe what one of their rituals are. So this will hopefully be helpful to you watching. The only criterion for creativity is this: make it easy on yourself. Finding a work environment where the prospect of wrestling with your muse doesn't scare you might take you a little bit of time, but it's going to be really beneficial for you. It should make you want to be there. Once you find it, stick with it. To get the creative habit, you need a working environment that's habit forming. All preferred working states, no matter how eccentric, have one thing in common. When you enter into them, they impel you to get started. Moving inside each of these routines gives you no choice but to do something. It's Pavlovian. Follow the routine and get a creative payoff. By making the start of the sequence automatic, it can replace doubt and fear with comfort and routine. Because as we all know, sometimes creativity can be intimidating. That empty canvas, that empty page, that empty, I don't know, the piano keys. I'm not sure the empty note sheet, all of that. It can be kind of daunting. Sometimes the actual sheer fact that you can do anything that you want is the most daunting thing, because you can do anything you want. You can go anywhere you want. And that just gives you so many options. Sometimes just making that first decision for what you're doing can really help it relieve a lot. So it worked for Beethoven too. He would start each day with the same ritual, a morning walk during which he would scribble into a pocket sketchbook the first rough notes of whatever musical idea inevitably entered his head. And having done that, limbering up his mind and transporting himself into the version of a trance zone during the walk, he would return to his home and get to work. As for Twyla, she says she needs heat, and her preferred ritual is getting warm. That's why she starts her day at the gym. She's in a perpetual pursuit of body warmth. And she says when dancers are not warm, they're afraid. Afraid of injury, afraid of looking bad to others, afraid they're falling short of the inner bar they set for themselves. And that's a rotten state to be in. So maybe if you're out there wondering, what should I make my starting ritual for my creativity be? One thing that always energizes me is physical movement. It's not necessarily directly related to any of my crafts, but it does clear my head and it does give me energy. So maybe start there if you're not sure what to do. She also gives you a hint in here where she says that dancers warm up. So it's really a good idea that whatever creative endeavor that you're working on, maybe you need to start with a warm-up exercise. And we even have Beethoven here doing a warm-up exercise of, writing down some notes that he's thinking about while he's on a walk. We even have Igor Stravinsky starts every morning sitting at the piano playing a Bach fugue. So that's a warm-up. These dancers are warming up. Even the guy lighting the candle, that's a warm-up. It's like warming the mood. So yeah, anything you can do to kind of warm up. If you don't know what to start with exercise. If you really don't want to do that, maybe start with search for a warm-up for whatever creative endeavor you're working on. Or watch a tutorial on something that you're interested in. Just something like that. If you're an artist, maybe start with a sketch, or maybe take a canvas and divide it into smaller sections and just do little tiny samples. A lot of artists will do painting samples, and they'll divide a canvas up into smaller quadrants so that they know while they're painting it that it's an exercise. So anything you can do to remind yourself that it's an exercise so you can have some fun with it and relieve that stress that's hanging over your head. Any other comments? Anybody out there that wants to comment on what they do to warm up for their creative endeavor, or what their starting ritual is, please put it in the comments below. And all you guys here in the book club, if you have anything that you do, feel free to chime in as well.
I like the idea because she says the ritual should almost compel you to do the action. Like for her, it's getting in the cab, right? At which point, if she wants to go home, it seems stupid. Because it's like, what do you mean? You're in the cab.
Yeah.
For me, when I paint, it was unintentional, but I realized that watching masterclass was that, because there were some days it's like, I don't really want to paint, and it's like, well, I'm just going to put on masterclass. And inevitably what would happen is I would put on masterclass and I'd be sitting here and be like, I don't have anything to do. Like, I want to keep watching this masterclass, but my hands, they're just sitting here. And so I just break out my paints anyways. And it was, yeah, so that really spoke to me, like the whole, like, it should just compel you, like, you can't not do the thing after the ritual.
Something kind of similar with, I know you guys, it's not your favorite book, but the Stephen Pressfield book, War of Art. Yeah. I love that book so much. Oh my gosh. So like, I like to snooze in the morning, so waking up is hard. So what we do is, like, we'd have our first alarm go off, and then we'd just read, like, one of his little pages, one of his little blurbs, and then we'd let the snooze go to the end of it, like, next 5 minutes, and then because we already had, like, I don't know, just the motivation from his book in our minds, we'd get up, and then we'd start our mornings a lot earlier, and then I'd take the time to, like, work on my writing and just spend, like, 15 minutes a day. Probably should say the habit of every day, 15 minutes working on my book, and that's how it actually got done.
Oh, that's really cool. I actually really like that. That's a great idea. And I know on the same note, a lot of us here do morning pages. Our journals, we just write 3 pages a day. So I really like that. Thank you for bringing that up. Both of you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't know. All right. We got our participants chiming in here. It feels great to have you guys contributing. So here we go. Okay, so she talks about how her morning ritual is the most basic form of self-reliance. When all else fails, she can at least depend on herself to get up and get moving and cause change and do things. She says she is more productive if her body is strong. So her daily workout is preparation for her to work. And then ever since I was a young lawyer, oh yeah, so this is another anecdote here. Ever since I was a young lawyer, each day I would come back from lunch and I would close my office door. I would sit in my chair and for 1 hour I would quietly ruminate on one question. And the question was this: Bert, what's in it for you? Which I really like. Like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because other people want me to do it, or am I doing this because it's important to me? And not to say that we shouldn't do things for other people, but a lot of times it's a lot easier to prioritize other people's wants and needs over things that we need to do for ourselves. So asking yourself what's in it for me, it will keep you focused on your goals. Taken to extremes, it might not be an attractive way of seeing the world, but it really does place your motivation right smack in front of you. And then Twyla says when she does walk, so she starts the book out saying that she walks into a white room, and that's exactly where she creates her choreography. So she says, when I walk into the white room, I am alone, but I am alone with my body, ambition, ideas, passions, needs, memories, goals, prejudices, distractions, and fears. And she says these 10 items are at the heart of who I am. And she says no one starts a creative endeavor without a certain amount of fear. The key is to learn how to keep free-floating fears from paralyzing you before you've begun. And so she lists out 5 fears that she has. And she says that they're pretty big demons, but they're hardly unique to her. Number 1 is, will people laugh at me? She says, not the people that I respect, they haven't yet, and they're not going to start now. Number 2 is, someone has done it before, and she says, it's all been done before. Nothing's really original. And this is a kickback to Steal Like an Artist, where they're just saying everything's kind of recycled. And then, I have nothing to say is her 3rd one. And she says it's irrelevant. We all have something to say. And then number 4, I will upset someone I love. And she says this is a not easily exercised worry because you never know how loved ones will respond. The best you can do is remind yourself that you're not a good person, or that you're a good person with good intentions. Excuse me. Once executed, the idea will never be as good as in my mind. That's number 5. She says, toughen up. But better an imperfect dome in Florence than cathedrals in the clouds, she says. So I like that. It's like done. It's like what we were talking about with Son Jingle. Done is better than none. So then those are her fears, right? So she lists distractions as fears as part of the 10 things that make up who she was. And she says distractions and fears are like the negative parts and everything else was like her positives. So down here she goes, this is a head game, of course. what ritual isn't. And of course she's referring to those 5 fears. Like, you have to get out of your own head with that stuff, and again, like I said, just, you know, get back to why you're doing it, because it makes you happy to be creative and to make something great, right? Or even to make something not so great. Like, it's good to make things. It's cathartic. So this is a head game, of course. What ritual isn't? Anything new is definitely a step into the unknown. And she says, well, then she's talking about rituals and tribes and how humanity used to be scared of dying and not having enough food and such. But that rituals, let's see. Sorry about that. But that rituals just make things easier for you because it turns things into habit and automatic. So she says, I know a writer who looks for something to clean around the house when the words aren't coming out. He grabs a rag and a spray bottle and gets to work with the crud. When everything is clean and shiny, he sits back down at the screen and the words invariably flow. And she goes, as you wallow in self-doubt, you turn away from the computer screen and see dirt that you hadn't noticed before. Certainly not when the work was going well and you didn't need to turn away from the screen. Of course, we're still referring to the writer here. The dirt becomes inextricably linked with the self-doubt. And wiping away the grime cathartically wipes away the self-doubt. The emotional crisis is solved. Let the writing begin. So she says that she thinks the movement stimulates our brains in ways that we don't appreciate, which I also alluded to earlier when I say that exercise makes me feel like I can accomplish more, my brain's functioning better, I'm happier. So for me, exercise does make it easy to stay creative and stay on the ball with things. So of course she's here supporting me in that statement by saying movement stimulates our brains in ways we don't appreciate. And she says that her writer friend who has to get up and clean, he associates, let's see. So he says that this involves neural pathways and emotions and identity and self-worth. The job of a writer, he says, is simple. You can't write what's in your head, but it becomes an emotional challenge when you can't corral the words into coherent thoughts. So suddenly you doubt yourself. And so that's when you start to see the dirt, and then you feel like you have to clean up the dirt out on the outer environment so that you can sit down and say what you have to say. So let's see. She says, if it works, why question it? And does the reason really matter why it works? So the mechanism by which we convert the chemistry of pessimism into optimism is still uncharted. But we do know how debilitating negativity can be, and likewise how productive optimism is. So when she's struggling with pessimism and fear, her mind flits from the major issues of how to cope with everything she wants to do to the minor housekeeping details of going to a manicurist to repair her splitting fingernails. And at times like this, her priorities go astray. She swoons deeper and deeper into a fog of self-doubt and confusion, but rituals help her clear the fog. The other obstacle to good work, as harmful as one's fears, is distractions. So some might say that maybe the distraction of a messy house can prevent you from cleaning. For me, that's pretty clear. When I have clutter around me, I feel like I'm suffocating, and I need to clear out before I can actually produce art, or I just have to turn around and face the other way. That also helps me. So whatever it is for you, it's helpful if you can figure that out and start to kind of take care of that and work it into your rituals. So she says, I want to place myself in a bubble of maniacal absorption where I'm fully invested in the task at hand. So she doesn't like distractions. As a result, she finds that she's often subtracting things from her life rather than adding them. She's turned that into a ritual as well. She lists the biggest distractions in her life, and she makes a pact with herself to not do them for a week. So some of the things that she cuts out are movies, multitasking, dealing with numbers, anything that has to do with money or figures, and then background music. For me, cutting out the music, it would work for me because often if I get engrossed in something, I can do it without music, and like an hour later, I'm like, why isn't there any music? But I definitely feel like things flow better with music for me. So she kind of has a blurb about that, but I don't know. So she says I don't recommend living without distractions as a permanent lifestyle for anyone. It's too monastic, but anyone can do it for a week, and the payoff will surprise you. Which I really like, because I've tried this thing where I turn on a movie and I try to create things, and then I just get distracted by the movie, or I get so engrossed in what I'm doing that I don't really remember what happened in the movie, and so I would just really rather have music on. So I don't know. What's a distraction for you? If you feel like it, you can chime in. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment below. What is a distraction for you that stops you from being creative? And I'm going to think here for a little bit. I guess clutter is one distraction for me. If I don't put my laundry away right away, I hang my laundry to dry. And if it just bothers me if I don't put it away right away. Distractions for me would be text messages. I'm one of those people where as soon as I get an alert on my phone, I want to clear it out. But I get a lot of messages, so I just really have to turn my phone on silent sometimes and put my phone down. I know social media is a really huge distraction for a lot of people. So when I'm working and doing certain things for creatively, I really just like to ignore my phone, and sometimes I'll sit down for like half a day, sometimes a whole day, and I won't check my phone all day. So really, if you do that, it's important to make sure that if somebody calls, like you can do something in your settings to where it's do not disturb, but if somebody calls twice, it'll let the second call come through, so that way if there's an emergency, people can still reach you. But yeah, if you have any distractions that you want to chime in, go ahead. Then, let's see. Okay, so she says, it's a simple equation. Subtracting your dependence on some of the things you take for granted increases your independence. It's liberating, forcing you to rely on your own ability rather than your customary crutches. Henry David Thoreau turned his back on the distractions of life and society in pursuit of a better and clearer life. He found a rich vein of inspiration and invention in the Massachusetts woods. Now I know, Laura, you've read the Stephen Pressfield's book. I think in the Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, he mentioned something about Henry David Thoreau only having somebody over for like donuts once a week or something. Am I making that up? Do you guys remember that?
I vaguely remember him saying something like that, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't think.
Sorry, I'm sure. About donuts?
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? He was like, was it donuts?
I think maybe he was talking about he had his friend that he went and had breakfast with who lived like Henry David Thoreau, and they would go have donuts or something. Like, I think he was saying that his friend was like Thoreau.
Oh.
Not that his friend was Thoreau.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. All right. So, the act of giving something up does not merely clear time and mental space to focus you. It's a ritual too, an offering where you sacrifice a portion of your life to the metaphoric gods of creation. When you have selected the environment that works for you, develop the startup ritual that impels you forward every day. Face down your fears. and put your distractions in their proper place, you have cleared the first hurdle. You have begun to prepare to begin. I like that sentence. So that's it for chapter 2, except for the exercises at the end of chapter 2. We decided that we were going to try out reading the chapter 1 week and doing the exercises the next week. So if anybody read through the exercises, feel free to chime in and let me know what you thought. I did not get a chance to read through the exercises yet. It looks like, let's see how many there are. Oh, okay, so it looks like there's just 4 exercises. So I think potentially, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I figured out how to unmute. Yeah, I read the exercises. They're, it's light. It's nothing like too committal. Well, the last one maybe, but I'm gonna ignore the last one. And I think we could skim through them and decide, because I don't think we should do a whole week that's just the exercises. It's pretty light.
Oh.
If you read the last paragraph on each exercise, she does a little story, and then the last paragraph is what the exercise is.
Okay.
So what was the first one? Pick your pencil. So, cartoonists carry pencil, photographers carry their cameras, composers carry dictaphones. I don't know how old this is, but dictaphones. So pick your pencil is exercise 1, and always carry it with you. Hello? Oh.
Thank you, Jermageddon.
Yes. Find your solitude. Face your fears. Yeah, they're not. I think we can read through them. Okay. That's my opinion. But we can also wait till next week.
Okay. What do you guys think? We have 3 more people to weigh in here. Would you like to do the exercises and read the next chapter this week? No objections?
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like the idea of doing the homework and then the chapter. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do the exercises and read the chapter this week. If you guys feel like it, you can do the exercises at the end of the next chapter too, or as well. But if you don't get to the exercises at the next chapter, then maybe we can just do a week lag behind, since we started out this way already. But we can weigh in on that next week. Is anybody opposed? Okay, it seems we're all in agreement. So that's what we'll do. So this week we read chapter 2. This upcoming week we'll do the exercises from chapter 2 and read chapter 3. And then we'll touch base next week on if anybody got to the exercises at the end of chapter 3. And we'll kind of sort it out then. Yeah. All right. Well, that was the end of this week's Creative Book Club. So what I'm going to do is stop recording. Thank you all for joining me on Discord as well as on YouTube. Those of us who are meeting on YouTube, or those of us meeting on Discord, we are on my server, which is in the links below. Go ahead and add me if you want to join book club through Discord with the links below here on YouTube. And those of us who are in book club will continue chatting and reconnecting about the rest of our weeks. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week, Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.